So, us Jackbox fans have been eating pretty good recently. Not only did we get an incredible demo for the highly anticipated Trivia Murder Party 3, but we also got a trailer for the Jackbox Party Pack 12 that, get this, revealed every game in the pack. Not 1, not 2, not 3, not 4, not 6, but 5 unique and hilarious party games got revealed in one crazy trailer. Like they did with the Jackbox Naughty Pack, except with 3 months extra notice so we actually know what to expect. The Trivia Murder Party 3 demo is easily the best Jackbox game demo we've received so far, not only in terms of spectacle, but there's also an extremely surprising amount of trivia questions and replayability, which is really weird to say for a demo. But I digress. I could glaze this demo all day, but today I want to talk about this Pack 12 game reveal trailer. Now that we have a trailer briefly going over every game in the pack, as well as a blog post and a few game descriptions, I'd like to talk about my general first impressions, thoughts, and hopes for the pack as a whole. Alright, enough exposition, let me finally start off by talking about the trailer itself. Yeah, I know, we're starting off with the reveal of the games instead of the games themselves. Feel free to use the timestamps or chapters if you want to skip ahead to my actual game discussion. Simply put, on principle, I really admire how they've handled revealing the games in one of the most honest and vulnerable ways possible. Not only do we get to see every game at once, but we get to see snippets of raw, early gameplay footage of each and every single one of them. And yes, we still have a lot of questions about the details of how exactly these games will play out, but the plus side is that the stuff we do see is shown in a much more realistic and honest manner. You see, when a trailer can't use early gameplay footage, the perception of a game in its trailer is extremely dependent on the communication of everything else, for better or for worse. For comparison, one of my favorite teaser trailers Jackbox has ever put out is the trailer for Talking Points. While it doesn't show any footage from the game itself, the entire trailer walks you through all the important details of the gameplay loop. And the choice of having the spokesperson be represented as a player of the game allows the awkward vocal delivery to sell exactly how it feels to play. It's clear, it's not misleading in the slightest, and it gives you a really vivid idea of what it's like to play the game. Some other good Jackbox trailers in this category are the ones for the Pole Mine and Non-Sensory. However, for every mainline party pack from Pack 7 onwards, besides the Naughty Pack, there's at least 1 or 2 trailers that either just use an in-game tutorial, which is fine if the tutorial itself is good too, an intro animation or cutscene that only really tells you about the game's setting and nothing about the gameplay itself, or, the worst offenders, a handcrafted trailer that has the right ingredients to be something like the Talking Points trailer, but key information is either withheld or miscommunicated to the point where either the trailer misrepresents the gameplay or actively gets people worried about it. Hell, in Dota Remi's case, shortly after the trailer came out, Jackbox had to release a blog post reassuring everyone that it wasn't going to have massive latency problems like Dome. But in any case, the Jackbox Party Pack 12's reveal trailer hasn't taken any of those routes so far, and I'm beyond glad that we get a more direct visual of what the games are actually like, even if we're still missing a lot of key details. I don't really care for much outside of the gameplay in this trailer that much though. It's pretty standard Jackbox holiday commercial stuff. I find a lot of the time travel stuff kinda lame, and hearing the worm obsess over his once hot bod really doesn't rub me right, but everything from the end screen onwards is actually pretty funny and quotable. I've never owned a turtleneck in my life, but man, I miss my turtleneck. Alright, that should be most of my thoughts for everything outside of the actual games in this trailer now, so how about we actually start talking about the games? You know, the thing you actually clicked on this video for. Idle Factions! Idle Factions seems to be the new team-based cooperative trivia game, which, now that I think about it, is a niche that Jackbox seems to have been pretty obsessed with recently. Here, the premise seems to be that everyone is sorted into teams and are tasked to sort a constant barrage of terms into one of 3 separate categories. Each player is placed somewhere on the track of their side of the map, and from what I can gather, seem to be tasked to redirect the balls into the direction of the right category. From what I currently understand of the concept so far, it's looking to invoke the kind of team-based frantic communication that Quicksort provides, where the constant stress can either help or hinder you. But on principle alone, there's a couple pretty big differences that Idle Faction seems to have that will probably end up raising it above Quicksort for me. First off, look, everyone's playing at the same time. No one has to twiddle their thumbs for minutes on end with nothing going on, hopefully. And yeah, I know that's the point of Quicksort Forever, and I do actually quite like Quicksort Forever, don't get me wrong, but sometimes I look at it and think, maybe I want to play a game with a more consistent game length rather than one that can last anywhere from just over 2 minutes to well over 3 hours at optimal playing speed. And I think Idle Factions has the potential to really scratch that itch. And I feel like it'll be different enough to consider it its own thing instead of just calling it Quicksort 2. Oh, and speaking of playtime, I know we have basically nothing to go off of, but since we see a timer on the top right of the gameplay footage that seems to max out at 140 seconds, it looks like rounds of this game could be rather quick. And I really hope that's the case, because if the average game length of Idle Factions is under half an hour, when the average length of a Quicksort game is over half an hour, I'm sorry, I'm picking Idle Factions over classic Quicksort every time. As for anything else to go over for this game, I like that one of the clips has a category trio that's just intentionally designed to be difficult to communicate around, that being Black and White, Jack Black, and Betty White. I really like the idea of having to come up with an alternate set of terms on the fly to reduce mistakes, and I think it's a good flavor of chaos to add to the mix that feels uniquely its own. Also, I noticed that the colored teams are all isolated on opposite sides. Again, we know basically nothing about this game, but I'm hoping that the game will provide some sort of way that opposing teams can interact with each other. Maybe it's a map where one of the roads for a player leads to another player of the opposite team. Maybe sorting an answer incorrectly will give it to the other team to give them an extra opportunity for points with less opportunity to mess it up. Maybe before the final round starts, players could add conveyor belts anywhere on the track that slow answers down or speed them up. You know, just something to incentivize not just playing as teammates, but as competitors too. But who knows? All in all, I'm pretty excited for this one, and from what we've seen so far, I think this is the game that, purely from a design perspective, has the highest potential to be something really good. But only time will tell. I've been wrong before. Alright, we forgot a card. And just right off the bat, this is what we're calling it. That's the name Jackbox came up with. I thought I'd sooner see a game with this title by Exploding Kittens at my local bookstore, but here we are. That being said, if we're gonna call it that, if at any point in the game there are two people that look directly at each other in shock, then look directly at the camera and exclaim, "We forgot a card!" and then the logo fills the screen, you're getting a standing ovation from me every time. Anyways, you can see the footage. This is another head-to-head prompt-based comedy writing game, or a quip-like if you will. So to try and get away from all the Quiplash comparisons for a second, what does We Forgot a Card have to offer on its own? Well, for starters, there seems to be 4 layers to the answers you submit in the game. From what we can see at least, there's the prompt at the top specifying the specific occasion, then there's the front cover of the card with a stock photo which is shared between both players, and then there's the text on the front cover itself which is different on both opponents' cards, so maybe there's an extra layer of customization there. And then we see the typical punchline response on the inside of the card. So yeah, that's what looks to be 4 separate components to a standard submission in this game. How we'll be interacting with every single one, who knows, but it's reassuring that there seems to be a lot of parts to this game's comedic potential. Now, when looking at a game that at a first glance looks like a standard quip-like, I find it difficult to get too excited for it, and I know that many of you probably feel the same way. But if last year's trailers taught me anything, it's to hold my breath. Figuratively, I mean. Because last year brought us Doominate. And when I saw Doominate's trailer for the first time, I thought to myself, wow, this looks like the most uninspired Quiplash clone ever. This game's gonna be the worst game in Pack 11 by a landslide. And many of my friends felt the same way, and we would talk to each other about how bad we thought Doominate was going to be. Anyways, now Doominate is my most played game in Pack 11 among all of my friend groups. We were wrong. We were so wrong. A few years ago, the same thing happened to me with one of my favorite writing games, Job as well, but I'm not gonna tell you that story because I genuinely think I could do a whole video on why I don't like Job's trailer. So getting back on track, I'm gonna try not to judge a card by its cover too hard at the moment. For a game like this, I need to actually play it to form a strong opinion. But here I am judging every game in this pack by its trailer footage, so what do I know? But before I move on, I'd like to suggest one gameplay idea that I think could serve as a unique twist that could both add to the game and be thematically relevant. You know what I used to do a lot of in these novelty cards? I used to draw. Not just in them, but on the covers too. One time for someone's 18th birthday, I got them a childish card that read on the front, "You're 8 years old," and I just changed it to say 18. That was a memorable card. And I'm just thinking, what if at some point you got to draw on the cards in this game? In them, on them, doesn't matter. Maybe it's a final round mechanic, I don't know. To me, that's always been a big part of giving cards to people, and I think it would be a cool idea for the game to explore as a special round gimmick. Realistically, it's only probably going to be a writing game, but man, wouldn't that be cool. Oh, and I guess one more thing I'll mention before I move on to the next game is that according to the game description on the Jackbox website, there'll be the option to purchase the cards you make in the game as real physical objects you can give to people. So that's cool. I'm not sure if I'll get much mileage out of that, but I always welcome something cool like this. I'm just still waiting for the Cookie House mugs to come out. Debate and Switch! Look, I don't even care that we barely know how it works, but I have a feeling this one's already going to be my favorite game of the pack. My favorite Jackbox game is Talking Points, and I'm a Junktopia defender. What else do you need to know? From what I can gather, two people are set up together per debate and are both given a statement to either agree with or disagree with. I'm making a lot of assumptions here, but given that for the main gameplay footage, the timer placement alternates between left and right, I'm guessing that the person on the yes podium is given time to state their case alone, and then the person on the no podium gets to do the same for their disapproval shortly after. It also looks like the non-speaking players get to switch their vote on an argument in real time, and you might get points depending on how long everyone else continues to support your argument. Now, if Let Me Finish's quick mode didn't already kill off Let Me Finish debate mode for good, I struggle to see a world where Debate and Switch doesn't just immediately burn it to the ground and completely and utterly replace it. And here's why I think that. For starters, look, debaters are given a clear set of opposing stances to defend. It's kind of hard to get more juxtaposed than yes and no after all. One of the main problems with Let Me Finish's prompts, aside from being aggressively over-sexual and repetitive, was that it really wasn't uncommon to get a prompt where everyone just kind of has the same answer, which literally just makes a repetitive game even more repetitive for no good reason. But from what we've seen of Debate and Switch so far, that doesn't seem to be an issue at all. It makes sure that both presenters are disagreeing with each other and actually having a debate? Yeah, I know, shocker. And another thing I think will keep Debate and Switch fresh is something mentioned in a blog post on PlayStation's website, stating that, quote, allowing players to craft their own topics was an evolution we're really excited for people to play with, end quote. And we see something like this in the gameplay footage, where one of the player heads is next to a prompt reading, I don't care about your kids. Now, I don't know if that's going to be a one-round thing or something that's throughout the whole game, but I have a feeling that's already going to elevate this game up to high heights. Games that let the players be responsible for part of another player's prompt usually seem to have really positive reception and make replayability much less of an issue. It can be a double-edged sword with the wrong crowd, but anytime a game does this, I usually get excited. This is definitely a game I'm getting excited for, mostly because I naturally enjoy presentation games in general, but right now, I'm struggling to see anything to be concerned about with this game so far. But I swear, if they even think about adding the Let Me Finish jump-in feature, I swear I'm going to cry. Megapals! Megapals is a game I'm not entirely sure how to feel about, because this is probably the game in the pack with the most vague set of footage and screenshots so far. I'm pretty much entirely going off of the PlayStation blog for this one, so I'm just going to read the first two sentences of a section there verbatim to give you an idea of what this game actually is. In Megapals, players are given a one-word prompt and must submit as many associated words as they can before the timer runs out. Points come from matching other players, match the most and you're Megapals. So basically, from what I understand, it seems to be a think the most like your friends kind of game. Now, when I first read this description, my mind immediately went towards Herd Mentality by Big Potato Games, a game that I've never actually played, but I've started to see on the shelves of my local bookstore recently. You know, where I found that new Exploding Kittens game, We Forgot a Card. Jokes aside, where Megapals seem to differ from Herd Mentality is in the speed and the scoring. Herd Mentality asks players to write a single answer that they hope will be the majority for every prompt, and rewards people if they're in the majority, while Megapals seems to be about writing as many relevant terms for a single prompt as possible, and getting rewarded by how many matches you can make with other people in one round. Herd Mentality's prompt scoring is binary, while Megapals will probably be cumulative, I think? It kind of gives me Survey Scramble vibes as well in a sense, except if the data pool was created by your fellow players on the spot instead of being pulled from a database of global answers. It has the speed element of writing as many things as possible, but also rewards you for thinking in line with everyone else in the group. One other thing I also think is worth mentioning is a part of the blog post that states that prompts for subsequent rounds are based on player inputs, giving the game endless replayability, which I think is really cool. I'm imagining maybe everyone starts off with a default word for the category, and then when a round concludes, one of the most popular words will be the subject of the next round in the chain. And you know what that means? Welcome back, Words Bud. But either way, I'm keeping a lot of my thoughts reserved, mostly because this is the game that we know the least about. But from what I can gather, I'm intrigued and optimistic. Social games like Role Models and Fibbage Enough About You get a lot of replayability from me, and if it seems to scratch that itch, then I think it's personally worth getting excited for, despite how little I know about it. I would say a little more if I was able to make any extra guesses based on the footage, but it really doesn't give us much to work with, so I'll leave it at that for Megapals. Hyperface! Oh my gosh, this game looks like You Don't Know Jack 5th Dementia! Hyperface is a game that kinda looks like You Don't Know Jack 5th Dementia, I guess. Cool, now I can retire early. In it, your objective is to edit photos in response to a prompt. How can you edit these photos, you ask? Well, I'm also asking. I don't know either. However, the game description states that you can, quote, smudge, yank, squash, and draw on the photos you're tasked to edit. And from there, it looks to be like a standard voting segment where everyone's submissions are shown on screen and everyone votes on their favorite. It sounds like pretty standard stuff when I spell it out like that. It's a formula we've seen many a time before, but the reason this game looks intriguing should be obvious: the technology. I really like that Jackbox Games has been more willing to be more ambitious with its games recently in terms of their technological advancement. The live text editing in Fixie Text was actually quite a big technical challenge despite it looking so simple. Then Pack 11 gave us a game where we record sound effects and a drawing game with shaders. And now we'll be able to play with Photoshop effects like the Liquify tool, the Puppet Warp, and even, get this, the Pen tool. Another thing that the video doesn't show you, but the game description tells us, is that not only are we able to choose from a range of stock photos, but we have the option to take our own photos and send them to the game to mess around with. And I know for certain that I'm going to be having a lot of fun with just this aspect of the game alone. Because when Role Models and Talking Points give me the opportunity to take photos, I take it. I can take photos of my face, sure, but I can also take photos of completely unrelated objects. And if I turn on my OBS virtual camera, I can also send basically any image on my computer to the game. You do not want to talk about custom photos to the guy that gave Talking Points free play a chance. I can and will abuse this novelty when I see it. Notice how I said novelty. Yeah, as much as I think I'm going to be having a lot of fun with this game on the first few days of release, I can't deny that this is the game in the pack that I'm the most concerned about so far. I don't want to be too harsh on the game just yet because, again, this is a teaser trailer, but from what little I've seen of this game so far, I see two immediate issues that could really harm its long-term shelf life, and I personally need to see more of what this game can offer to be fully convinced by this concept. Firstly, the technology itself. Don't get me wrong, I'm really excited to see that taking photos is now taking the center stage of a game instead of just being something you can do in the lobby of Role Models and Talking Points. But if they're gonna do that, I need to know that the servers are actually capable of such a task. As of right now, sending photos to Role Models and Talking Points can be pretty quick, but 9 times out of 10, it's taking at least 10 seconds per photo. And in Talking Points free play, it's especially bad, having photos sometimes take over a minute to fully send to the game. And on the topic of free play mode, if too many people are trying to send photos at once, sometimes the room can just crash. And if Hyperface is tasking everyone to send photos at around the same time, I need to know that the game can handle it. Improve the server upload speed and make sure the game exports images at a low resolution. Then we'll talk. But my biggest concern with what I've seen of Hyperface so far goes down to the conceptual level. If Hyperface is self-described as the uproarious reaction game, both prompt examples we've seen start with "your face when," and the game's description doesn't imply anything other than photos of faces, then how long is it going to take before this game starts to feel repetitive? Because right now, it doesn't look like it's going to take a whole lot. Say what you want about the Naughty Pack, I'm more of a Naughty Pack defender than most, on a technical level at least, but if it's taught me anything, it's that honing your entire content pool around one subject makes it extremely hard for any play sessions to feel particularly unique. Having a large number of prompts helps, but prompt diversity is just as important. And if all the prompts feel the same, it doesn't matter how many you have, people will believe they've seen everything. And I really want to believe that Hyperface won't meet the same fate, but right now, I don't see much that proves it will. Personally, I want to see what the game will do structure-wise to keep things fresh. Maybe one round you all take photos that other people will use, and the comedy can come from seeing what other people have done to your face. But why stop at faces? That's not all a camera can shoot. What if for one round you take photos of objects and try to make faces out of those? Exercise your sense of pareidolia. Or what if you plaster a face from a previous round onto something else entirely, like a newspaper article or a wanted poster? Maybe one round you're tasked to write a speech or thought bubble for a previous face. Just something else that isn't just your face went blank, you know? Like I said before, I'm really excited to play this one when it first comes out, and I really want my concerns to be proven wrong in the future, but personally I need to see some sort of proof that Hyperface won't become something I'll eventually get bored of before I get my hopes too high. Gosh. Sorry, I didn't want to end this section on such a negative note. What can I do? Oh, Godoy. Oh my gosh, this game looks like you don't know Jack 5th Dimension! So that's everything in the Jackbox Party Pack 12 reveal trailer. It still feels so surreal that we got a trailer like this, and it feels even more surreal that it's only July and I feel like I have some sort of inkling of an idea of how every game is going to be played. I certainly couldn't say that for most other years this franchise has been around. Overall, my first impressions of this pack are pretty good. I'm almost confident that Idle Factions and Debate and Switch are going to be absolute bangers. We Forgot a Card has the potential to bring some unique comedic structure to the classic quip-like genre. Megapals sounds like it'll be another good social game to add to the catalogue, despite how little we know about it. And Hyperface sounds like it has some cool technology, but I'm really hoping I'll be proven wrong on my concerns regarding its replayability. But it'll only be a matter of months before this pack is officially out to play with, and personally, I can't wait to see how well or how poorly my predictions will age. But I've yapped your ear off for long enough. Now it's your turn. What are your thoughts on the Pack 12 reveal trailer? What games are you the most excited for? Do you have any ideas or concerns? Let me know in the comment section, especially if your thoughts are contrary to mine. I don't want to live in an echo chamber. But that'll be all from me. Be sure to like, subscribe, comment, share, all that jazz. Thank you all for watching everyone, and I'll see you on the flip side. See ya!